Hi friends, how are ya? We are at the first quarter moon. Aside from this past week being extraordinarily difficult for a million reasons, I would like to ask you guys to just pat yourself on the back because we got through one of the most difficult weeks. I'll tell you that this whole year 2020, I'm sorry to say, is going to be back and forth and bonkers like this. This is not a year of planning a lot of things and growing things. This is a year where you're going to build stuff, have plans, go back, revisit them, maybe have to start from scratch again, start over, new plans, think about it. Oops, something might knock it down, not quite what it should be. Start again. That happens at least 3 times this year. Okay? So this year then, it's about keeping things simple. The KISS strategy. KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. Did you ever hear about that? So this is extraordinarily difficult. I do not want you guys. We're here again where we have to separate the power. We are going through a major structure and power change. It's happening within each of us. It's happening to everything on the planet. It's happening on all the planets in our solar system. So the structure and power that is realigning within you, don't give Donald the credit of being that powerful over you, because he's not at all, okay? And don't give that power and that perception to other people that they have that influence, because they don't. Everything is changing. I do not forget this point. 2020 is horrible. It's restructuring, it's repowering itself. And the angst that you feel is going to be there all year because of it. Unless, maybe, you start to tune in and how your body is reacting to the cosmos. Tonight was a perfect example. I'm so proud of you guys I happened to jump in at Marie's table, her live stream this evening. It was really great. And, Marie, I know reading the energies are so difficult. That's because we've been through eclipses, we have a new moon, we have this Saturn-Pluto thing. It turns the energies upside down. It's like, it's like our whole world, all of us have been tossed into the air, everything's up for grabs. We're still waiting for gravity to pull everything down. And that's happened with the cards. It's so difficult to read for so many reasons. But anyway, we were talking and the energy in the first part of it was very high strung, high paced, kind of frenetic. And then I kept saying, you guys, at 7:45, we have a quarter moon, the energy is going to change. And then I was, asking Marie, see if the energies change at around 7:45. And then I left and I came back. And then I asked a question. I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys, we have the quarter moon. How's the energies? And then everybody was like, oh my gosh, I feel so much more relaxed. Even Marie commented on that. That's the power of the lunation. Everything responds to it. Everybody in that chat said, oh my gosh, I feel it too. I feel it too. That's why the first quarter moon and the third quarter moon are known as crisis points, because we're growing to something. So, in summary, don't give Donald and our government more power than they deserve when it comes to your angst. Number 2, don't take this crazy energy personally. Number 3, you got this. You were meant to be here. We were all meant to be here. This window, this 2020 that is so difficult for us, last time we saw anything similar to this was during the Bronze Age. Actually, it was before the Bronze Age that ushered in the Bronze Age. So when you hear about geologists or whatever talking about different periods, like the Jurassic period or the, I don't know, there's all those different periods. That's where we are. Our planet is billions of years old, and if, you know, there's like 10 major stages or ages of the planet, we are at one of them. We're right in that window. We're right in that cusp of turning everything over. And it's just getting started. It's, we'll know in about a year how this is shaking down. Right now, we haven't even taken our first step into this, okay? So I know everyone talked about Saturn-Pluto conjunction, what happened, it's a bust. No, and it hasn't even started. But I will tell you, the transformation of power and structure in our government here at home is changing rapidly and responding to that. And so this reading I'm doing is about that first quarter moon and cards that I just laid out. Now, I have to interrupt with one housekeeping piece because I didn't say it to begin with. This sign, for entertainment purposes only. If you've noticed lately, I've been writing this out. Because for some reason, if I don't do edits and I keep my videos on my mobile and then I upload directly from my mobile to my account, I don't get those weird algorithms. If I do anything to manipulate this video on my computer, and even if I put it back on my mobile through the airdrop, something is still wonky. So I think there's something with my router and my ISP address that I'm flagged somehow because of this address being registered to a Democrat. Kind of makes sense considering I've traced the flip in my suppression back to when Donald had his so-called executive order related to anti-conservative bias in the media. Now, and I'm just going to dovetail this a little bit more. Now, when I just started my channel in May, remember that? Well, in May, we were up at the cabin, I'll tell you, in Wisconsin. You guys, how important is Wisconsin as a state to elect the next president? Kind of important. It's a red state that turned blue, and there's a massive fight underway in Wisconsin for months with, they're just getting hit so hard with the disinformation and I can't even imagine what it's like. But anyway, so last May, we were up in Wisconsin for Memorial Day, and then I reached my first 1,000 subscribers, and I think it's because I was using my father-in-law's router in Wisconsin. He's a registered Republican, and he's an old guy. I mean, what more perfect of a voter could Donald want than my father-in-law in Wisconsin? But here I'm using his router and his ISP, so this account was tied to a registered old guy Republican in Wisconsin when I was uploading stuff. And then I rapidly got 1,000 subscribers, which then you can monetize. And we happened to be up north again when I found out I could monetize. And then my hits and like everything was just exploding. I was just exploding onto the scene. And then I remember we came home after the 4th, and because I went back and looked at my timeline, and I could see like kind of where my views would drop off then, but then we'd go back up to the cabin, and they would take off again. So we were up there like July. I don't know if we were there or not. But then in August is when we had that EO executive order. And then we were back because the kids started school much earlier, like mid-August this year. And then Yeah, so that's kind of what I've traced it to is my router and the ISP address that's connected to this household, and my address being a registered Democrat, because I've seen so much interaction with YouTube and Google. Oh my gosh, I have another big, I can't even tell that story right now, which has to do with YouTube. But anyway, so that's why you're going to see these big signs now. I'm not going to be editing anything because I want to try to just send things as they are in the raw form. Unless, we go to Wisconsin, which takes a while to get there. But I go up there, I'm like, I can't wait to go there. I want to use this router. So anyway, then, okay, so we were at Marie's table today. And then if you kind of knew that Friday night PJ party, which was insane. Oh my gosh. Great job, Becca, Yoda, Jen Lynn, about tracing down what's going to happen at the State of the Union. Basically what happened, for whatever reason, the question started getting asked, what happens at the State of the Union, which led to Donald resigning. And I do not like predicting anything. I've stayed away from this, but I happened to be in that group, and my body lit, like I could barely draw my cards because my body was buzzing so much with that. This question has been replicated, and the answer has been replicated over and over amongst many. And even with the people I'm looking at on the periphery, like everything is corroborating, telling a story. So what I did, and I like this tool that's evolving, I have a new deck. It's Black Moon Astrology cards. So what I did for my Tarotoscope, I took all these cards out and I laid them out on the Tarotoscope because I'm trying to figure out how these link better. And it happened. I love this. So these cards have like all the houses in here, 8th house, 7th house. They have all the signs. Oh, Black Moon Lilith. I need to have a discussion with you guys about this because this is so huge. This is how Nancy is overrunning Donald right now. It's written in the stars. Her position in the divine feminine. Oh my God, you guys flip out. I can't wait to do this reading. But then it has all the houses, like the 1st house, 4th, 3rd house, 6th house, North Node, Virgo, Grand Trine, Neptune, 2nd house, lunar eclipse, Venus, Pisces, 12th house, fire, Gemini, part of fortune. This part of fortune is the wheel of fortune in the tarot. Solar eclipse, Taurus, water, Sagittarius, Cancer, Aries, South Node, air, Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto, void of course, moon, something's missing, Sun, Uranus, Chiron, Libra, Capricorn, Leo, Moon, Earth, 10th, Aquarius, Mercury, 11th, 5th house, Jupiter return, Yod, the destiny, Grand Cross, Mercury retrograde, Saturn return, Mars and force. Of course, there's like 10 cards I want to add to this. So I laid these cards around, and that's like this purple writing that you see. And holy cow, so much easier to read. So for example, this spread here, this has to do, this is Donald. This is Donald. I did them for impeachment, State of the Union, and resignation. I have Justice Robertson here. I want to fill this in, but right now this is Donald, and this is amazing. So, card of the reading, or what's on the ascendant, the thing that he's pondering about most, that's giving most of his life force or lack of life force of what his focus is. The 2 of Swords, having to make a major decision. And so when you look at the 1st house, how he identifies himself, look at this. You have the Empress. He identifies himself as him and Russia. Trump Russia. Now, when I look to my astrological cards that I laid out, it's telling me to look at Neptune, which is deception, which is the 6th house of the public servant. That's how he identifies. Furthermore, I grabbed the 1st house over here with the 8th house of transformation. Actually, this house here has to do with shared resources. Shared resources. Shared resources has literally the 1st house, the body. This is the 1st house. He identifies himself as Trump Russia, so you've got that mutual reception here. And he has the lovers, he and Putin here in the 8th. And here we go. Here's the moon. That's highlighting that with next to Uranus with sudden shocking news. Furthermore, Scorpio owns this real estate. Well, look at what's here in the 10th house of what's crowning Washington, D.C. I drew that Scorpio card. The end. The end of a cycle. So right off the bat, we have Donald here having to make a decision. He identifies himself as a shared resource for Putin and who he is here in D.C., that his cycle is ending. If we look over here, now the 9th house of long distance travel, Putin's house, look at this. The 8 of Cups. I think Putin is telling Donald it's time to walk away, or Putin's walking away from Donald. But he has a say in what's going on here. He matters, okay? It isn't just the Republican Party. The order might be coming from lands far away. And why would that be? Because when we look here, now here Neptune is the natural ruler of Pisces, which owns this area, which is secrets. So what is Donald's secret then? He has a secret. He has a plan. Because his hidden enemies is the Republican Party. Crazy. So, and this again is telling us to look over here at the 8th house. That's his secret. Okay? So when we look here at the 11th house, now this is ruled by the sun. The sun indicates the president in the horoscope, which is over here in the 5th house of the sun as well. So when we look at the sun, he's not the president. It's about partners. His wish and being the president has to do with partners and him being a freaking spy. In partnerships, it tells us to come over to here because Libra owns this real estate of partnership. And look at, he's leaving and he's taken stuff with him. Intelligence, getting away. Or the spy is leaving, telling me to go down here to the 4th house of the roots. The spy is leaving the office of the President of the United States. I'm loving these cards. So here we go. 10th house. What's crowning? The end of a cycle. I have to tell you something else. Look at here. The midheaven. The highest point of the sun in the day, that day. It is 21 degrees, 17 minutes, Gemini. Donald's sun is 21 degrees, Gemini, 55 minutes. And then here at 22 degrees, 20 minutes is the part of fortune. He's getting the squeeze. He's right smack dab between here, the midheaven, the highest achievement, the leader of a nation, and the part of fortune. He is squeezed there, which also Wheel of Fortune has to do with timing. So it's like, it's time to go. Like, popping is it. It's time to go get out of here. And then on the bottom, the top and the bottom, in astrology, the top and the bottom, the 4th house is your roots. When you're born, your 10th house has to do with when you leave and actually ruled by Saturn when you die. So Donald has his sun, his ego, his life force, at the 10th house. It's time to go. And at the bottom here, ushered in, his moon. The physical is moon. His life's purpose is to freaking leave. You know why? You can't see it here, but the south node of the moon now is 7 degrees Cancer. Oh my God. The south node is what we are letting go of. If you watch the Kobe Bryant video I did and explained astrologically, like why it was written in the stars that he was time to leave, he was letting go of himself because he was serving the other. It was time to go. Donald's, the south node, the thing that you're releasing, the thing that's dissolving in your life, it was sitting over his natal Mercury. Okay? His natal Mercury is the ruler of his sun being in Gemini. So his ruling planet as the President of the United States, Mercury, was being dissolved with the eclipses once and for all. And here we go. Here's his moon, which represents the physical body. His life purpose, he thinks, is the presidency, but no, his life purpose is it's time to leave. And if his Mercury is dissolving, I think that's why we've been kind of seeing the dissolving, the functioning of his body. His functioning has deteriorated a lot since this summer. Since the first day of winter. And we had eclipses with that as well, and a Saturn-Pluto conjunction, which is the restructuring of government power, governments, and power. There's part of him that's dissolving. And you have Neptune here, which has everything to do with who you are. Neptune in Pisces dissolves things. The transit moon is in the house of life and death and transformation. I'm not saying that Donald, his cycle has come to an end. I don't know about his physical body and what's dissolving with him. I mean, his brain truly seems like it is kind of melting because the frontal temporal dementia, his father died of that. Donald shows so many signs of it beyond, we suspect the addictions and stuff. There's part of him that is definitely dissolving. And once I said that and figured that out, it's almost like his aura is thinning. Wow. Oh my gosh. The High Priestess is a card that represents Neptune and Pisces dissolving into one. That's, as a Gemini, his sun sign owns the property, the real estate here in the 3rd house. We have Scorpio, the planet of transformation, life, and death, feeding that house. So you have communications and how he analyzes. That is dissolving. His messaging is dissolving. There's something about him that is dissolving beyond leaving the presidency. I'm just getting that right now. So he thinks his life purpose is to be a star. It no longer is. And that's his driving force. It's going to kill him not to be that anymore. Here's another clue about what's going to happen this week. In the 5th house of the sun, there's the sun, the President of the United States. The This transit sun right now is opposite his powerhouse, Pluto planet. My God, this is bad, you guys. So the Hanged Man is reversed. Usually it's like that. You're getting a different perspective, taking things in, kind of victim-y. This is another Piscean card. Well, when it's reversed, it means, you know, you're kind of coming down from that position and you're going to take action now. Waited. Time to take action. That's what's happening at this quarter moon. Oh, this goes up here. In the 6th house of public servants, military, investigations, it's a sword of truth. It is coming out. My astrology cards say the 3rd house in messages. So the truth is coming out about his messages with elections and Russia. Remember, February 3rd, Monday, is when the Josh Schulte trial starts. It's really important. It's been under the radar. That's related to the WikiLeaks case and WikiLeaks hacking our election. It was originally scheduled for November 4th, and it was postponed. What happened a week later on October 27th, as a distraction, Donald took out al-Baghdadi. That trial was postponed for January 12th. What happened about a week, 10 days beforehand? He assassinated Soleimani. Found out, I think Soleimani had to do with also the hackers hacking elections in the United States and around the globe. And February 3rd, it is starting without a doubt. The judge is like, I'm done with postponing. We're going to start no matter what on Monday. I was worried Donald would do something recklessly, and a news story broke on January 31st through Yahoo, and they were citing the New York Times, that a high-ranking al-Qaeda official in Yemen had been assassinated, they believe, 1 to 3 of them, and the bounty on his head was $10 million. That was reported on January 31st. And so the military, public servants, investigations, the truth is coming out. In the 7th house of partnerships now, we the people, we're getting to calmer waters. He seems to be leaving. Now remember, Donald's wish, the 7th house is partnerships, and its hidden enemy being the Republican Party. He's a spy, but he's also vengeful. So we get a kind of still not totally out of danger's way here. 8th house, shared resources, taxes, other people's money. The Lovers, Trump, Russia, Trump, Russia, Trump, Russia, the president, coming to the end. I mean, it's just written all over the place. Oh, here, 2nd house, income, gains, values. We have the Magician. He wanted the to kill the impeachment hearings, and that was through the death card last week. The Magician was to be the wish to magically wrap this up, but actually it was showing now recently as magically getting rid of Donald by others. So impeachment, Donald has the Magician here. The 2nd house of income, values, and now we have Venus ruling it with money. The Magician, Grand Trine. What is the Grand Trine? Might go to here. I'm not totally sure what this is doing, but something with money. And there was a lot of moneyed news. I said we would get a ton of moneyed news Wednesday, Thursday, Friday last week. We did. Just a few things I'll tell you about is, you know, I did tell you that Facebook was fined $550 million in the state of Illinois because they inappropriately took user biometric information. Not allowed to do that. I guess that case is moving to San Francisco. The second thing that happened, I think this was on Thursday, Germany had a major bust for the money laundering operation going on in Azerbaijan. That whole money laundering group related to the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. Think Trump Tower, Baku, and Ivanka. That stuff is going down because the money laundering going on in Germany, the people at the top of it, everything was raided. And then the biggest news that nobody is talking about, pin this to the back of your mind, on Friday, the Department of Justice announced this huge thing with Airbus, busted for international bribes, buying off politicians. It spans a bunch of countries and continents. They had to pay a $3.9 billion fine. They're just getting started with them. This affects Airbus and its subsidiaries, which includes American Airlines, Delta, and another company. But I'll tell you, Delta got bought out after the Helsinki thing by a Russian airline company. That's why they're such assholes now. And I think that was the airline that dumped the fuel over the Los Angeles. They dumped the fuel over you know what I'm talking about, over the schools. They were going to go to China, but then they had to come back. And then I guess the air traffic control asked if they needed to dump their fuel. They were like, no. But then they circled around and then dumped their fuel on a school. I mean, how Kremlin-y. And so it also includes, I think Boeing is part of that. Now, don't forget, before we got DOD Sheppard, we had DOD Shanahan. Shanahan came to us from Boeing. Boeing stock doubled when DOD Shanahan was announced as Deputy Secretary of Defense. Go look at that stock and how it's performed. It skyrocketed when he was announced as Deputy Secretary. It went up huge at the time of when the tax scam went through in 2017, but its highest date of performance was the day that Donald went to Hanoi and was shamed mercilessly, there you go, in front of the world because he failed with Kim Jong-un. But he had a good day with the stock market because Boeing stock carried the entire market and they had their highest share. I think it was like $444 or something like that day. And then Boeing shares dropped, had its biggest drop when Mattis said he was going to resign. And that's when Donald had to say something during the shutdown. He moved up the date of Mattis leaving because Mattis was going to stay until March, but then Donald said you have to leave January 1st. That was because Boeing stock dropped. And when he said he'll leave January 1st, then the Boeing stock went back up. This Airbus thing is freaking huge. It's also related to Alabama and the defense stuff they have got going there. And Senator Shelby's already been talking about it. This is huge. There's a lot of big, huge money news coming out. Those are just the three off the top of my head because I told you at the new moon we were going to get a lot of big, shocking money news. Well, there you go. Okay. There are so many things I want to talk to you guys about. I'll probably do the Black Moon Lilith. I'm going to do probably a bigger horoscope one at the Queen's Horoscope. Oops, did I say that? Yeah, that Queen's Horoscope channel, kind of interesting. I haven't posted there in a while because it's been kind of nuts, but man, so much going on. For entertainment purposes only. Thanks, guys. And thank you, 5,000 plus subscribers. I'm so glad you're here. I'm so relieved. This has been hanging over me like you wouldn't believe. With the suppression and everything, it's been really hard. So I'm glad I've got movement there. I'm so glad. Eclipse clicks are wonderful. Okay, thanks you guys. Bye.